Hey guys, welcome back to BackPocketGameReviews, and today we are going to talk about the death of a childhood friend of mine, Toys R Us. Obviously not a personal friend, but a longtime source of childhood memories from when I was a kid. Toys R Us, in the 90s, was like the place to go if you were a kid. And I don't mean just for toys, I mean that's where I went for video games. My N64 came from there. Along with majority of my N64 games. And I got the N64 the Christmas it came out. That was the Christmas, it was the hot item. My Game Boy was from there. My Sega Genesis was from there. I mean, Toys R Us literally was the start of a lot of fond memories for me. But Toys R Us also used to be the hip place to go. You know, where a kid can be a kid. Jeffrey Giraffe didn't come off as a creepy giraffe mascot. Now he's been animated and bastardized. I don't like the new Jeffrey. But, doesn't matter because the new Jeffrey's dead, just like Toys R Us itself. And it's kind of sad to see, because again, everyone remembers Toys R Us is this awesome company. Toys R Us got bought out early 2000s, and it was by a relatively large company that didn't really allow them to evolve in the way they needed. Eventually, Toys R Us lost a lot of faith with toy makers. Now, I don't want to say they aren't still synonymous with toys as a whole, because they probably still are easily the largest toy manufacturer in the or toy retailer in the US, even while they're dying. And when I say that, I don't mean the place that sells the most toys. I mean the largest retailer that sells only toys. Sort of like GameStop is the largest retailer that sells only games. Similar concept. So, there's a lot of really crappy parts to this. And I'm going to actually cite a couple of issues here. I took some pieces of an article that we're going to kind of reference here when we're talking about it. And I feel that this is going to be a pretty good example of what's wrong with Toys R Us as a whole here towards the end. The CEO said when he was delivering the conference call announcing the closures. By the way, I've kind of known about this since Sunday. The company kind of fully announced it on Monday, by the way, that everything was going to get liquidated. They were preparing for it, but it wasn't a guaranteed because they were kind of waiting on some things to come back. I work for a large retailer, and we were advised on Sunday to pull all Toys R Us gift cards off of our shelves. By the way, if you have a Toys R Us gift card, they are only valid for the next 30 days, so make sure you use that Toys R Us gift card as quickly as you possibly can. Nothing is worse than sitting on money that a company couldn't afford to pay you, so they just claimed it as their own. This is exactly what the CEO said, though, on the conference call. I have always believed that this brand and this business should exist in the U.S. Suppliers who abandoned the chain over the holidays, as well as customers who chose to shop elsewhere, will all live to regret what's happening here. Now, yes, to an extent, it hits me right in the nostalgia, hence why I'm wearing a Rocco's Modern Life shirt. I'm a 90s kid. I was born in 1987. I grew up through the 90s. I would still tell you the time period that I was a kid at, I loved. I absolutely loved. I can't give you a single complaint, but I can tell you so many societal differences between today's culture and then. That's kind of a topic for another video, though, and we're going to kind of avoid that topic for the most part here. And, you know, Toys R Us filed for bankruptcy a while back. A lot of you probably remember me even doing the video about it. They originally announced they were going to be closing 180 stores, and they were filing for bankruptcy protection. Then, news of Toys R Us financial troubles came in September when the company filed for bankruptcy protections. In January came the announcement of more than 180 store closings. Later in February, that number was increased to more than 380. While promises of severance benefits for retail workers were broken, a judge allowed the payout of millions in bonuses to companies' top executives. I just ran this company into the ground. I deserve more money. It's really stressful destroying a company from the ground up. Yeah, you're not a terrible human being and all. I'll just say this. If I owned a company and you were expecting a bonus after destroying said company, I would make sure you were never hired by anyone ever again. However, this went to all of the top executives, and I'm not saying the executives don't deserve to get paid when doing a job. I'm just saying to expect millions in bonuses when you're running a company that's failing due to your decisions is pretty crappy expectation. Especially when you're, average individuals who are retail managers, hourly associates that are just running cash register, maybe your sales associates. You ain't giving them dick. Nothing. Now, granted, there's 30,000 jobs that are going out the door. I'm sure that everything you just paid to those executives, and it's funny because, all these people are going to live to regret their choices here. I think the choices that everyone's going to live to regret here is the fact that you literally showed your corporate greed by dicking over the employees, the people who may not be able to make ends meet without their job, so you could make some quick cash in the end of it all, even though you already made lots of money during the entire situation. And don't get me wrong, again, I am sad to see Toys R Us go, but this is a pretty good example of where if you can't evolve to compete against your competitors, such as Amazon in this instance, Amazon is ruthless with the prices they cut down to during the holidays, and it is very hard to compete against them. Or even Walmart, who typically always tries to have low prices. Walmart doesn't price match anymore, but again, Walmart tends to have pretty low prices to begin with. Toys R Us just wasn't competitive in that field. Most of the time, they were more expensive. However, Toys R Us did have a price match policy at the end. I could walk into a Toys R Us and I could price match anything. But sometimes it's too little too late, and you can look at things like Babies R Us, and I can literally tell you that no place was more overpriced than Babies R Us on baby products. I mean, we're talking anything here. Babies R Us typically had a good $3 to $4 markup at a low end on everything. But again, you could price match. Do I want to have to take time to price match everything in the entire store? No. You should already be pricing your product at a competitive rate to your competitors. If not, and if you're not able to deliver some awesome expectation of customer service or deliver on every product that I want, I'm going to take my business somewhere where they can. Toys R Us unfortunately didn't really evolve enough to get back business in a timely enough fashion to where it was going to save them as a company. A lot of this is very comparable to GameStop and a lot of the stabs I make at GameStop. Again, I don't want to see Toys R Us go. I'm actually pretty sad about it. My kids used to love going there. Honestly, though, I can't remember the last time I bought a toy from Toys R Us. Normally, we get our toys at Target or at Meijer or any other place that's closer to where I live that's already going to have a comparable price, that'll price match someone if they are the lowest price, or on some occasions, I even will order them off Amazon. But, the more competition you have in a market, the better it is for you, the consumer. So the loss of Toys R Us should still be a devastating loss. That is one more competitor in a market, despite them not being the most competitive. But now that one's gone. Who's to stop someone else from now becoming less competitive? I'm just pointing it out. That is possible. That's how capitalism works. eventually, if no one's going to stand there and still compete and compete and compete and compete, eventually you become the only company doing it, and you can do whatever you want. I'm not saying that Walmart's going to be the only one selling toys, or Target, or Amazon. I'm just saying, the more competition, the better. That was GameStop's biggest issue, was they're the only ones who are an exclusive game retailer, and they think everyone needs to go to them to get games. It's not the case. Everyone sells games these days. And they don't have a price match policy. So a lot of these things are kind of mirroring and foreshadowing what's going to happen. And I mean, even if you look at Toys R Us, when's the last time you bought games at Toys R Us? Or even a lot of retailers. You can look at a lot of the digital sales these days. Right now, Sony has the Great Indoor Sale going on. They've got prices slashed on a lot of games that most retailers currently don't have on sale. And probably wouldn't be running on sale for the prices they are at currently. And it's convenient. Buy it digitally and I already have it. I don't know. It's sad. I'm not going to say... I know some people like to harp on the fact they think kids don't play with toys these days. That's not true. Kids still play with toys. I understand where you have companies like Lego that aren't making the money they used to, and even Lego's not doing so well. Lego's very overpriced, first off. Mega Bloks are quite a bit cheaper. I'm not saying Mega Bloks are as good as Lego. I'm just saying the competitor is being more competitive. But I do still think kids still play with toys. There's still a need for toys. Kids still need creative play. And I do think video games still fit into that creative play and those toys categories, despite adults still sharing in that activity. And as I said, a lot of the games that I bought as a kid were from Toys R Us. But it is funny to hear Toys R Us also say they're having issues. Companies wanted paid up front for the products. It's not like a, hey, stock is on this, we'll pay after it sells. It's a, we don't have confidence in you selling this product. We're worried it's going to get liquidated in your store. And I mean, that was before the announcement of them declaring bankruptcy. And that's pretty harsh. I did drive by my local Toys R Us on my way home because there's one right by my work. And they've been packed. So I don't know if their liquidation prices are already up or what's going on. You probably pick up some stuff pretty cheap, by the way. Liquidation normally means some pretty steep price cuts. Unless the company, some companies that run liquidations, you got to be careful. Check your prices online too, because they're not always at their lowest pricing. Man, it's kind of sad to see though. And I mean, especially just the tatters that they're sitting in. But it's going to eventually happen to a lot of retailers. That's the whole point of the game. You have to be able to evolve with the market. If you can't evolve with the market, people stop shopping at your store. Pretty simple. But there you go. It is what it is. Maybe I'll make a My Memories of Toys R Us video or something along those lines. Go into a Toys R Us and just cry on live stream. Guys, let me know what you think down in the comments down below. Do you think this is a long time coming? Are you sad to see Toys R Us go? And keep in mind, this did impact other businesses too. When they announced that they were going to be liquidating everything and finally going out of business, there were a lot of companies that stock prices dropped, like Hasbro and Jakks Pacific. So this is a very intertwined thing here. And a lot of these companies that are toy manufacturers, Toys R Us has stock in. Toys R Us has a lot of international companies. So, au revoir, Jeffrey. Where's Pee-wee's Big Adventure when you need it? Guys, thanks for watching. I'll have plenty more videos coming for you soon. But don't forget, if you enjoyed this one, drop a thumbs up. If you want to follow me anywhere on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any of those. Actually, Twitter and Instagram are the two places I tend to be most active. Twitter specifically. You can do so in the description box down below. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all soon.